All right, Charlie Dark. I want to start the conversation off with one question. What advice would you give to your 18-year-old self if you can go back?
The advice I'd give to my 18-year-old self is embrace your Ghanaian culture. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a superpower as you get older. It's not something to be embarrassed about. Mm-hmm. I would say leave romantic relationships until 21.
Okay.
Because it's going to derail you.
Okay.
Believe in yourself. Mm-hmm. And all of the dreams that you dreamt of happening in your bedroom in South London actually happened. So be proud of yourself.
So what did 18-year-old Charlie want to do at that time?
18-year-old Charlie, or 18-year-old Charles.
Charles.
Was basically, had just finished doing A-levels, hadn't got into Oxford, hadn't got into Cambridge, therefore had crushed the family dream.
Okay.
18-year-old Charlie basically then found himself coming out into the big wide world slightly underprepared.
Yeah.
Because the university that I'd wanted to go to, I just didn't get the grades that I needed to get in.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I kind of was like, okay, I need to have a plan B. And really, I always wanted to get into music, but I was kind of, there wasn't any other musicians or entertainers in my family. Yeah. It wasn't necessarily something that I was being encouraged to do. I was encouraged to play classical music, but the idea of playing records was seen as a bit kind of like an alien thing. But I just made...
So what music was your plan B? Because normally it's the other way around. You like have this creative dream, like music would be your plan A, and then plan B was like, let me fall back on education. But yours was like the other way around.
I've got old school Ghanaian parents. They're not trying to hear about plan music being plan A. Like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Because again, you know, they're looking around and they're not really seeing anyone else doing it on TV. They're not hearing them on the radio. So they're just like, there's no career path there. There's a career path in being a lawyer, doctor, you know, going the Oxbridge route. So for me, it was very much kind of like, okay, you know, I need to leave home, which means I've got to get into a uni of some sort. So I've got to go to one of these other unis that I'm not really interested in going to. I studied English and drama as my degree. And I really only went because you could get a student grant at those times. And I was like, right, $3,000. I think it was either $3,000 a year. I'm just like, right, that's record buying budget. Let's go. Okay. We're going to invest that into our dreams. And so that's what I did. I kind of was just like, you know, I really think I want to contribute to this musical landscape. It's really exciting. And I'm going to kind of, you know, do my degree to appease my parents. But at the same time, whilst I'm doing that, I'm going to try and start planting the seeds.
So when you picked your degrees, there was no view of a career path at that point? Like it wasn't to relate to any kind of career?
I wanted to be a journalist.
Okay.
I kind of, you know, I really wanted to write for The Guardian and The Times and kind of, you know, things like that. And then the B plan was like, well, I can write for like ID magazine, Face magazine, you know, fashion magazines that come through. But I just didn't get in. I kind of, you know, A-levels went well, but not as well as they could have done. I just didn't get the grades that I needed to get into the establishment I needed to.
Could you pinpoint why that was?
I think because deep down, I didn't want to go.
Yeah, fair.
You know, I was hearing horror stories about, you know, people of colour going to Oxford and Cambridge and just kind of crying in their bedroom, in their dorms, eating beans, feeling very lonely. I was just like, I don't really want to do that. You know, there's this really exciting... Remember, it's 1989. So this really exciting world is now starting to happen. Berlin Wall's coming down. There's all these cultural shifts that are happening. And I wanted to be part of that. And so I think for me, it was kind of... My heart wasn't really into putting in the amount of work that you had to do in order to kind of really ace the exams.
Okay. All right, so you've gone to uni, you've got your record buying budget.
Record buying budget, we're going
wild.
So
then what happened?
Well, I quickly became one of the uni DJs.
Okay.
Which gave me a bit more budget because they had a little budget for buying records.
Okay,
as well.
yeah.
And really, it was just kind of, I was just honing my craft, kind of playing in the uni on Friday and Saturdays. And then when I wasn't playing, I was going to clubs religiously and going to have experiences. So I would literally kind of be like, wow, there's this art gallery that's in East London. I've never been to East London before. Let me go and check it out. Literally, if I had money for a travel card, then London just became my playground.
Okay, so he's very open to like new experiences.
Yeah, I've always been open to new experiences because, I went to, I grew up in South London, went into the secondary school system around 82, wanted to go to the local comprehensive. My mum was like, no way, we're going to make you apply for one of the private schools in the area. I was like, these people are crazy, like, I'm never going to get in there. Somehow managed to get an assisted place. Which again, when you tell people that you went to private school, they're kind of looking at, oh my God, you're one of those people. You look got no idea about your history. You don't understand history. Because in the 80s, a lot of the private schools suddenly realised when they're looking out, there's not a very diverse group of people in there. And they were kind of partly through choice, partly through pressure, partly through cleverness, thinking there's this whole new pool of people. Because most schools are essentially run like businesses. They think it's a place of education. It's a business. So they realise, like, we start bringing in these new people, because it's all about results. Suddenly you're like realising, wow, the Asian population, those kids, when they come into the school, they study really, really hard. They're not messing around. Right, let's go and get some Asian kids. Okay, well, these Asian kids, we've got to take some black kids as well. We've got to get some African kids. Some American kids. Like, suddenly we're in this system where we're almost like the guinea pigs. And it was just kind of one of those things where you kind of you're a bit of an alien, but then you eventually begin to find your space, and you start to learn who controls the world, who makes the decisions, and how to navigate that space. Okay. Which has been really handy for me. In what I've gone on to do with my life.
Of course. So music's your passion.
Music is the passion.
Where do you take it from, like uni DJing? Where does it then go on from there?
Okay, so whilst I was at uni, I had an epiphany, which is I failed to get into the media industry through traditional means. But I'm really inspired by punk and DIY culture, and and people around me who are kind of just going out and setting their own fashion labels up and businesses and just doing some things that are new. So I figured to myself, right, I want to work in media. Most of the people that work in media are based in Soho. What's the common thing that they all have? They all have to get their hair cut at some point.
Okay. So
I'm looking through ID magazine. I find the top hairdresser in the area. And I go there. I turn up. I'm like, yo, my name's Charlie. South London, I'm really into music, fashion, hip hop, and blah, blah, blah. Street culture's kind of becoming something that people are getting interested in. I'm like, my words exactly. I will look cool in the shop. You don't have to pay me.
Okay.
Because I'm just trying to get in. Right? So I end up getting paid, I think it was £15 a day.
To do what?
Job. To sweep up hair.
Okay.
To sweep up and wash hair. My mum's freaking out. She's losing.
That's not an accountant or doctor at all.
That's nothing. We can't get on the phone and call home and tell them, oh, my son is doing so well. He's sweeping hair and washing hair. She wasn't having it. But I was just like, it's going to get me in.
So doing that, you had a vision of what you wanted to do. Like, it was a means to an end.
I just knew that if I could get in the room, I could learn how to navigate.
Okay.
Because I'd done it before. In this kind of private school education system that I've been part of. Come in and not really knowing what to do, and then learn how to navigate. Okay. I.e., oh my God, I'm one of the only black people in the school, and you think that I know about music? Of course I do. I know everything you need to know. I'll tell you about it. What? Not all kind of rules. Let's go.
Okay.
So that's how I got my job in the hairdressers. So I was at uni, and then I was working in the hairdressers. And basically, what that allowed me to do is to kind of be in the world of the movers and shakers. Because remember, there's no Instagram. Now you literally turn on your phone, and your phone tells you who the hot people are. Whereas back then, you didn't know. You might meet someone who was like literally like a face in Peckham. And no one outside of that borough knew him. But when you saw that person leaving, you're like, oh man, that's my man going to his big job in Soho. Hood. People, I just don't think people really realise how landlocked London culturally was.
Yeah, yeah.
Music was a way out to see. It was a way to actually spend time with people who were different from yourself, had different experiences.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, you know, obviously when you go to private school, it's kind of like you're with kids who've got money. But it's like, you know, so your kid in your school has got a swimming pool.
Yeah,
But when you go to a party, warehouse party, and then you end up in Chelsea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you wake up early, so you like, you know, you're just kind of...
Yeah, yeah.
I don't even know where I am, I don't know how I'm going to get home.
Yeah.
And then you're hearing all these, like, you know, these voices in the kitchen. You're like, what's going on here? And they're like, man, these people have got real maids. Like, they got real staff.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, they got a real live swimming pool in the house, not in the garden.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or, you know, you're meeting people who kind of, you know, their parents are architects. So they've designed their bedroom to their spec.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is mind-blowing.
Yeah, yeah.
For an African kid who's been in South London.
Yeah, yeah.
Forever standing with my arms folded.
Yeah.
You know, it's b-boyed up.
Yeah.
You know, cutting up my mum's curtains to make fat laces. Like, sending my African aunties to shops deep in the Bronx to go and get me, like, shell toes. Because again, none of this stuff is here.
Yeah, yeah.
But I went to a hip-hop jam. And I was a die-hard. I was going to a lot of hip-hop jams. A lot of dub reggae things with Shaka. A lot of soul-to-soul things. But every time I went to hip-hop jam, there was always trouble.
Okay.
I always had this feeling like I may not come home. I don't feel safe.
Yeah, yeah.
Had a situation where I went to an event in Vauxhall. Someone pulled a knife at me. And I had to kind of stare them down and front them out. And it's kind of like, I'm harder than I really am. And meanwhile, I'm just shaking, petrified.
Yeah, yeah.
I literally remember getting on the night bus afterwards and just being like, you know what, I'm kind of done with really actively following these jams. In fact, maybe I'm slightly done with this music because a lot of this music at the time is talking about a life that I know, but doesn't really resonate or I can't really relate to. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
like the super dude that walks in, everyone's scared of me.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not walking in with some, 500 fly, women.
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, I can't even drive.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's just like, and I'm just a Ghanaian kid trying to find my way in a world that he doesn't think Africa's cool yet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And every time I go out, there's always some kind of altercation, fight, robbery.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
always some kind of passer.
Yeah, because it's funny when you go to hip hop jams now. I was at a hip hop jam at Jazz Cafe, and there's literally everyone's got their phone out. I'm like, man, like back in the day, I remember going. You'd be hiding the £5. You wouldn't even put it in your sock.
Yeah,
it'd be in your shoe underneath the sole.
Yeah,
because they're gonna make you take your shoes off.
Yeah,
to check whether you've got just shaking you down in the club.
Yeah.
And I knew some people who were members of various different gangs and stuff, but that wasn't really me.
Yeah.
So I was just like, right, I want to make music that speaks to the life I'm living.
Yeah.
I'm tired of just going out and buying records and starving because records were expensive then.
Yeah, yeah.
And I want to make records about what it's like to be African and living in London and have parents that are from another place that have followed the dream to come here and it hasn't really happened. And, your Jamaican mates who basically introduce you to kind of, what, we're not having jollof. Where's the jollof? Bruv, where's the jollof? No, man, this is rice and peas.
Yeah.
What? Rice and peas? What? Like green peas? No, you mean? Like being introduced to the kind of all of that kind of stuff, which again, now people look at you as if you're crazy that you were excited by that. But that was a real thing to be from one culture and sit in another person's house where they've welcomed you in.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm born in the 70s. So I can remember going to like White Johnny would call you round.
Yeah.
Yeah, come around my house. Afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh, wicked man, I'm going to Johnny's house after school. And then Johnny's dad would come home and be like, that black fella in on my house? No, he's got to wait in the garden whilst we eat our dinner. I've had that happen to me. Jeez. You're sitting in the garden watching them eat beans on toast, whilst you've got pounded yam with fufu at home. You're just looking at their food like your food is dead out. But they come to your house. Yeah. Your mum's pounding the yam. Yeah. She's sending out, someone to go and get the goat. We're gonna kill the goat for this kid. They're deeply. The hospitality was different. Yeah. So, again, just a period of learning and absorbing, and kind of like trying to find myself and my identity. Yeah. And so I start making music, and then I met a guy in Notting Hill, young white dude called James Lavelle, and he's like, I'm starting a record label, and you look like you're into hip hop, so can you make me some records?
Just like that.
Just like that. I lied. It's just like, yeah, man, I make records all the time.
Yeah.
I'm making beats. Like,
yeah.
Got so much unreleased music at home. It's cool. He's like, wicked, great. The studio's booked for Saturday. Which is on a Monday.
Yeah.
And the studio's booked for Saturday. And he's like, all right, so we'll see you in the session.
Yeah.
Now I've got a bit of a dilemma because basically the big dream is now being presented towards me.
Yeah, and you're
but
not prepared.
I actually don't. I'm not really that prepared.
Yeah.
I've been playing around with equipment, but the idea of actually making a real live record.
Yeah.
So I just start calling up the rest of the Africans that I know in London who are into music, and that's how I met. That's how I got involved with Tony, the Robber and the band, and Attica Blues, and signed into Moax. And that life. But literally, it was just kind of. I've always been one of those people who's kind of like, okay. There's a barrier here. How am I going to get around it? So early barrier you would face is, a lot of clubs in the West End used to have a percentage of the amount of black people that they will allow into the club.
Yeah, I mean, some would say still now.
They still do it now.
Yeah.
So they have a quota. So you go and get dressed up, go up to the club, white club, get there. They're like, you can't come in. Okay, wicked, great. No worries.
Yeah.
Go round the corner, change into another outfit, put that outfit back on, come back, here you go.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just learned to roll with 2-3 outfits.
Okay, yeah.
Again, this sounds mad, because when I talk to my son or any of the 20-year-olds in my life, they're like, man, I just rushed in the place, what do you mean? But you couldn't you couldn't really do that then. So again, just learning to work your way around obstacles, which is a really important lesson, because I think a lot of times what happens now, people face an obstacle and they're just like, okay, obstacle in my way, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's always a way round. I used to get record promos from all the major labels because I made friends with the boys in the post room.
Okay.
So whereas other people are coming in and the cleaners there and the doorman, they're just ignoring and being rude to the receptionist because they just want to get to I'm like, yo man, get some coffee, man, bought you a sandwich, I'm deliberately going out to make friends, so that whenever I go to a party, whenever I go to an event, I'm good, because they're like, oh, he's cool, bring him through.
Okay.
Looking at like, who is this guy? I mean, he's got no gold on, he's got small muscles, and he's not coming with no girl, and he didn't come in a BMW, but he still seems to be getting in. And again, that was just my thing, because I'd reached a point where I couldn't go to my parents and say that my dream has not worked. So they can say, I told you so.
Okay.
So I was just like, whatever happens, we must succeed on this mission. They cannot win. And that's the motto. They cannot win.
So you've got the studio booked to Saturday.
Yes.
To make music.
Yes.
What then happens?
I call up Tony Wachuku. He used to work, funny enough, he worked in a, what's really weird actually, he used to work in a shop called Turnkey that is opposite this building where we're recording this podcast. Again, Nigerian kid, has somehow managed to parlay his way into music. And we were like, right, Saturday. He's like, yeah, cool, because he was engineering for people.
Okay.
So I was like, he knows what he's doing.
I'm
like, right, cool, well, I'll meet you in the studio Saturday. Singer I met through a girl I was seeing at the time. She's like, there's a girl in my uni who's always walking around the hallways singing. I'm like, wicked, bring her down, because, when you watch MTV at that time, when people are in the studio, there's like entourage. I'm like, okay, well, in order to make good music, you've got to have an entourage. Shorty Blitz is there. Loads of people came down on the first day. You know what I mean? And we're all in there just like, wow, this is really cool. Someone else is paying for the studio. We just hang out, made loads of demos, and it all went from there. And I can physically remember holding the first record I ever made in my hands and just being like, I've done it. I've completed the chamber. Because then you can go to your parents and be like,
for real.
And I remember I got home one day and my mum's like, someone has called you from Germany. They want you to go and play records in Berlin. And they're going to pay you. My mum's on the phone negotiating. So wicked. I was like, right, this is brilliant. It's all really happening. And so, that's kind of how I kind of got into the music, fashion, arts world.
So you've got a career in music. You're doing well?
Yeah. We're doing really well. We're cool. Smashing it.
So how do we pivot to what you then, the Run Dem, like the founder of Run Dem, how does that even begin?
So it's very simple. When you're in an industry that's creative, there are certain attributes that you have to have. You've got a very thick skin.
Yeah.
Because ultimately you're always being judged on your previous job.
Yeah.
And so what I realised is I was in the music industry and I was doing well. And we were rinsing it, like we were absolutely smashing it up.
Yeah.
It's kind of like walking into Foot Locker, just being like, "Give me the wall."
Yeah,
just really, just kind of like, "Yo, that's what we're supposed to do."
Yeah.
Got to like be showy. And then mental health is just really poor because ultimately you're still having situations where your creativity is being judged by outsiders who haven't lived your life. So they're like, I don't get it. I don't get what's this talking drum sound?
Yeah.
In the middle of this track, like, what's that all about?
Yeah.
What? You mean it's just so all these cultural things that they're not understanding, and they're not understanding why the music is the way it is, and kind of like suddenly you're second guessing. And big thing for us is the Fugees blew up.
Yeah.
You know, I got signed same time as Beyonce, Destiny's Child, Fugees.
Yeah.
Charlotte Church. I remember sitting in you're sitting in the office and there's Destiny's Child over there, and like little girl was just just ignoring them like, and then kind of all these other groups, and it's kind of, it just suddenly, my mental health is poor, and I had a big breakup. Album didn't do as well as it was supposed to, which is hard because all your friends are looking at you like you've made it.
Yeah.
And again, it's not like now where it's quite common to be like, hey, man was rapping in his bedroom last week and now he's on top of the pops. This was like a big thing.
Yeah.
And your major label deal hasn't worked out, and man's not calling you back. Suddenly it's kind of like you're looking at your bank balance, it's beginning to dwindle, new work's not coming in, technology is beginning to change, like it's all, the whole of the industry is changing.
Yeah.
And that's when I woke up one day, I was just like, I'm just really unhappy.
Okay.
I've got all of the stuff
that
I've been told I should have.
Yeah.
Everything, like I've got the flash car, I've got when I'm gonna bought a G-Wagon with my Sony Advance. Just walked in, it's like, Jazzy B got one of those.
Yeah.
Charlie Dark got to have one of those.
Okay.
You're literally on the road, and as soon as like you turn it on, get to the end of the road, you see the petrol gauge just goes zzz. You're just like, man, I can't really afford to rock this car, but it looks good.
Yeah.
And I just had a moment where I was just like, I'm really unhappy. And I can't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Because everyone thinks I'm smashing it.
Yeah.
And I can't tell my parents because they're going to be like, I told you so.
Yeah.
I've got to figure this out. So, running was just a thing that I started because I had a big trainer collection.
Okay.
I had loads of running shoes. I was just like, well, they've never seen a running track, but they've seen the inside of the club. So one of these is going to be work.
Yeah.
And I went out for a run, tried to run around the park. I always say this story, tried to run around the park as quickly as I could. Failed miserably.
Yeah.
But for the first time in a long time, came home feeling alive.
Okay.
Because one of the things that happens when you give up the day job for the creative dream is suddenly all of your eggs are now in one basket. You also stop getting the influence that you get when you're on the bus to the job you don't like. You take time to write lyrics. Now it's literally like, what are we going to do today? Well, I guess we're a full-time musician.
Yeah.
Full-time musician with no discipline, it's not going to work.
Okay.
So the running came and I just fell in love with it, and I was just like, yo, this is wicked. Like, it's making me feel amazing.
Yeah.
I'm meeting all these new people who are exciting. Because music people are kind of like, a lot of them are a bit limited in their view.
Yeah.
It's a bit like when you speak to fitness people and all they can talk to you about is fitness related stuff.
Yeah.
You want to talk about life, and they're looking at you like, why would you want to talk about life?
Yeah.
So I was just like, right, brilliant. We're going to start this running thing. We're going to call it a crew because it's going to sound like impressive.
Yeah.
And we're going to give it a funky name.
Yeah.
And we're going to remix running.
But why though? Why did you need a crew? Why would you not just go for a run
because
by
I was
yourself?
just like, I feel so alive. And I had a couple of friends who were like, yo, what's the drug you're taking, man?
Yeah.
Like, what are you drug? I'm like, no, I'm running.
Yeah.
They're looking at me like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, man, at night. I go out running late at night. They're like, really?
Yeah.
One of them was like, can I come with you?
Okay.
I was like, yeah, man, all right, cool, let's go.
Yeah.
And at that point, we were like big FIFA heads.
Okay.
Like, literally being like, could we become professional FIFA players? Because I'm playing it that much.
Yeah.
I mean, like 6-hour day training sessions, probably really in it. So we would basically play FIFA, go and run, then go and DJ, come back, play more FIFA, do it again.
Why at night? Why were you running at night?
I was like, I can't let anyone in my neighbourhood see me failing.
Okay.
Or being a beginner.
Yeah.
I'm Charlie Dark, bro. Like, man's got big... What? The guy with the G-Wagon?
Yeah.
You're now going to see him like... No. Yeah. Nighttime, everyone's asleep.
Yeah.
So that's basically when I started running.
Okay. So one friend comes, two friend comes.
One friend comes, two friend comes. You know, then eventually we've got 5. Putting it on Facebook, everyone thinks we're lying. Then we go do some races.
Yeah.
And people are like, wow, these people are really serious about this.
Yeah.
Then more and more people just started hearing about it and wanted to come down. And
just organically like
just
that.
Organic, you know. And my thing was very much like, I'm doing this thing and I'm running it like it's an underground warehouse party.
Yeah.
So we're not telling anyone what's really happening.
Okay.
But we're marketing it like it's bigger than it really is. So as soon as you say crew, people just think, well, that sounds quite...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know, literally I had like imaginary characters in my head when I was running. Because I talk to myself a lot.
Yeah.
As part of my creative process.
Okay.
So as I'm running along, I'm like, yo, come on, slow boy, man. I start making up all these characters who are running with me. So the crew is in my head before I actually made it. And because I'm one of those people who always thinks of the end and then works backwards, I'm like, wow, wouldn't it be really sick if Run Dem CREW was like a clothing line?
Okay.
In order to have a clothing line, you've got to have people who want to run. Clothes. Wouldn't it be sick if it was a comic book? Okay, well, in order to do that, you've got to have characters. Wouldn't it be sick if it was toys? Yeah. Because from the music world, I'd come with like vinyl toys. I was going to Japan a lot.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man, you know, I just basically thought of the idea for crew and then put the steps in place to make the crew happen.
Yeah.
And I used to pick people like I was casting a party. Because I always say to people, it's the best parties that I DJ at are the ones where there are lots of different types of people there. This is the reason why when people go to Carnival, they're having a really amazing time. Because each group culturally looks at what the other group are doing and feeds off that. I know for a fact that bad men from South London do not walk into the dance, go into the middle and start dancing straight away. Get by the exit, just like. And then when they start bopping, then you know, it allows the next person to be free and so forth. So I literally would just look at Run Dem and be like, right, we need some models in here.
Okay.
We need some criminals. We need some millionaires. We need some business owners. We need some photographers. And I would literally go out and just be like, yo, I really like what you're doing. I've got this Run Dem CREW thing. I think you should come down. And then word of mouth. And then we started working with, you know, I've had a brand relationship since I first started doing music in like early 90s. So I already knew how the brand landscape kind of worked. And one of my biggest frustrations was, you know, I've been doing the music thing. I've been doing a lot of teaching poetry and creative writing in schools, literature, traveling around the world, performing poetry. But every time you want to do a project, you've got to go for the Arts Council. They're going to send you like an insane amount of forms for you to fill in. And then once they give you the money, they're going to make you do all of this stuff to justify the money. Whereas I suddenly clocked, sports, the Olympics are on their way. Sports industry has just woken up to the fact that community is something really interesting. It's also woken up to the fact that the hood has started moving. And I already know about community and I already know about the hood. So I'm not going to speak to the Arts Council. I'm done with you guys. I'm going to go speak to the sports brand. And I had a friend, A-Side. You know, he's a creative, really super amazing guy who had a job at Nike. He was like one of the first wave of non-traditional exec people starting to get jobs within brands. So they've got a big building in Hackney, you know, which they've got from Hackney Council, which means that they have to do community stuff. But I don't really know very much about community, as I do. I walk into this meeting and I will say to people, is like, they're like, how much money do you want? And I'm like, I don't want any money. And everyone around that table suddenly leaned forward like this. I was like, well, we'll listen to a bit more. So again, it was just one of these things of like, I clocked from my hairdressing days. You know, by that point, I'd started cutting hair. You know, I was trying to get into that world. Like, you just got to be clever and smart about how you line your dominoes up. So that they fall in the space that you want.
So when did you start to like plan the journey with Run Dem? Like, when did you realise, okay?
From the day I got home after that first run, I was like, it started then. Because I remember looking at the clothes I was wearing, thinking like, these clothes are dead. If anyone sees me, it's going to be embarrassing, so we need to get cooler clothes.
Yeah.
So immediately started being like, right, everyone in running is traditionally wearing this stuff. We're going to go and run in mountaineering clothes.
Okay.
Because I've always been that.
Remember,
I always say to people, it's like when you go to the type of school that I had, what I met were people who had come from money, but were rebellious. So you met two types of people. You either met the people who had come from money and were just lazy. Yeah. Yeah. Or you met the people who had come from money and were rebellious. Yeah. And were just like, I've come from this, but I'm going to use the skills from this and my, connections from this over here to create something new. Okay. So I was just like, right, okay, brilliant. Now Run Dem, it's a clothing company, it's a crew, it's a radio station, it's a DJ collective, it's whatever we want it to be. Yeah. And a lot of times when you sit in meetings and say that people look at you like you're crazy. I'm like, you know what? You can't do what I do. Yeah. You can't go into the areas that I can go into and inspire the people that I can inspire. Yeah. So I think I know what I'm doing. I may feel sometimes like an imposter. Yeah. But I know for a fact. Yeah. I've managed to get some of the people who are most difficult to reach on the planet and get them to start moving. Yeah. And thinking this is part of a normal thing.
So do you think you had like a natural talent, or you're a really good marketer to like grow Run Dem Crew, but then also start tapping into brand partnerships and then tapping into crews across the world? And
I think it was no, it's only really till recently that someone said something to me. They were like, because when I got my MBE, little drop there, little mic drop. Got a little bit, got the MBE. But when I got my MBE, I started panicking. Yeah. Because then I'm like, right, you've cracked it, you've reached the last chamber. Yeah. So now you need to put some formality around it. Yeah. So then I start speaking to people, okay, who are the top managers? I need to go speak to the top managers, got to speak to the top branding people. And one of my friends said to me, he's like, dude, you've managed to get to this point by working it out yourself. Yeah. Why are you now bringing all these new people into the mix? Yeah. Who are not as passionate about what you do as you are? Mm. And that was a real maybe I know what I'm doing after all. Yeah. So I just think what it was is I was very good at taking the skills that I'd learned in the DJ booth and applying them into business. Okay. Because ultimately with DJing, people think it's about music, but it's very much about trust. Yeah. Do they trust you enough to leave their house and pay to come and spend time in a space where you're curating the atmosphere? Yeah. So sometimes when you're in these meetings, you've got to get tactical. We'll start the conversation talking about children. We're even talking about what else is going on. Like, man, this is like all the other people that come in just want to get straight to the business. Yeah. This guy's asking me how my kids are. In fact, he bought a present for my kids. Yeah. And so you put yourself in a position where you become invaluable. Where whenever there's an opportunity, you're the name that comes up. Okay. And where you've earned the trust so that people trust you to pay you what you ask for. Yeah. Give you the responsibility that you need and the freedom to execute the project.
So at that point, what are they paying you for? Like, what is it you're doing?
They're paying you for the contents of your mind. Yeah. Because, again, remember what I said. Olympics is on the way. Yeah. Yeah. We've got to be seen to be doing something. But we've got this new scene that's happening, this crew thing that's happening. Yeah. And then I found out there's a guy in New York who's doing a similar thing. And then there's a guy in Amsterdam that's doing a similar thing, and a guy in Paris and a guy in Berlin, and I suddenly realised, like, yo, there's all these other people who are doing similar things and we've never met. Yeah. This is MySpace days. So I'm MySpacing people and they're just blanking me off. Yeah. So I'm like, right, you know what? Old school hip hop, how would you do it? What you do is you put the calling card out. Yeah. Like the bat signal, you're like. So I'm like, right, I'm taking my crew to Berlin Marathon, half marathon on this date. Yeah. If you're about this life, I'll see you on the start line. Yeah. Mic drop. Go to the brand, we're like, yeah, we can try and do this party in Berlin. They're like, we're not going to support that. I'm like, cool, wicked, we're going to do it anyway. Yeah. Now, no one expected me to do it. Yeah. And I literally rang some people in Berlin, or like, I need a club. I found this club that was tiny, but it had mirrors all around it, so it made it look bigger than it actually was. Yeah. Rammed it out with more people than it was. Did all the pictures, shot the thing. When people saw that, they were just like, yo, whatever's happening, I don't want to be part of this. Yeah. And it was all very natural. I'm not like a big marketing guy. I just do things that are natural and feel comfortable to me.
So how big has Run Dem grown?
Oh, okay. So Run Dem is a bit like a football team.
Okay.
So it grows and shrinks and grows and shrinks.
Okay.
So our biggest, we probably had about 300 people coming a week to come and run.
Madness.
You know, it was like a sneak. I remember turning up to a RUN DEM CREW session, and the queue was around the block.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, is there a sneaker drop here? And I was like, no, man, man's here for RUN DEM. Because I think what people start to realise is kind of like, this is a really good way of networking. It was a really great way of getting a brand relationship.
Yeah.
You know, it was a good way of basically just expanding your world.
Yeah.
Meeting new people and being part of a cultural shift.
Yeah.
Whilst at the same time prolonging your life.
Yeah, yeah.
So it just really resonated with people.
Yeah.
And then also because I'm very open source. So I'm not one of these guys who's like, okay, I'm doing this. And I'm not going to show you how to do it. I'm like, are you interested in this?
Yeah.
Wicked, I did it like this and this, which freaks people out. Because they're like, why are you giving your ideas away?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, because I'm an ideas factory.
Yeah.
I'm Ghanaian, bruv. My man's been in the bedroom dreaming of like, like this is easy for me. Because I've spent so many hours being told no.
Yeah.
I spent so many hours inside dreaming that I'm like, what? You're gonna let me out?
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is on top for all of you, man.
Yeah.
And that's my, you know, my thing I always say to people is kind of like, sometimes people lead you into believing that getting things done is harder than it really is.
Yeah, yeah.
And actually it's really easy, man. It's easy.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
So, I mean, you dropped the little flex about the MBE. Would you say that's like your biggest win in your career?
No.
No?
The biggest win for me is when the people from the hood started coming to RUN DEM.
Yeah.
Because that's when I knew that I was doing something special.
Yeah.
And then when they started forming their own things.
Yeah.
And then when they started bringing their like, you know, because in any friendship group, there's like the one that's a bit malleable.
Yeah.
And then as it gets bigger, there's the ones who are a bit more hardcore.
Yeah, yeah,
when they started coming, I was like, it's a wrap right now. I've done it. Cool. And so the actual MBE is great because it gets me into rooms and conversations and opportunities that I can't have without it.
Yeah.
But the biggest validation comes from the people who I meet who are just like, I don't run, but I'm really inspired by what you do.
Yeah.
Thank you for the energy that you put out there.
Right.
And I think it's really important for us, you know, to realise that validation doesn't come from awards, because we've all got you know, certificates, things at home gathering dust. It comes from when you make that connection with people and they're just like, you know what you're doing really, really helped me.
Yeah.
That's far more important to me.
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
I've never been one of these people who's like, let me do this so I can be validated by blah, 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 blah. One thing I realise, and one thing I say to people is kind of, particularly if you come from African parents, you're going to spend a large amount of your time trying to do stuff in this kind of like, I'm proving that my idea will work. Yeah. You know, and I got to this thing where these really amazing things were happening in my life, but because they weren't the British Council or the BBC or official recognised things in our Ghanaian community, I wasn't excited. Yeah. And then I finally go and do a programme about marathon running with the BBC and the royal family. Yeah. You know, it's all MI5. Yeah. It's like, it was such a mad experience. And I literally walked into my house expecting my mum to be like, hey, Johnny, is that it? Just like, yeah, that's really good.
So has RUN DEM become what you visualised it becoming?
It's become what I visualised and more.
Okay.
Because really it was just, for me, it was just a thing that we do on Tuesday nights. Yeah. I remember sitting down in a brand consulting meeting and they were like, so, and the way they introduced me, sometimes when an outsider, you know, talks about what you do, you suddenly begin to understand what you're doing. Yeah. So they were like, you know, and so we have Charlie Dark. He nurtures, grows, and builds communities across numerous fields, including music and sport. Yeah. I was just like, rap.
Is that what I do?
That's what I do. I literally was like, wow, is that what I do?
Yeah.
Cool, I didn't really think of it like that. I just thought I was just running a running crew.
Yeah.
But then I realised, I guess it is a community, because when I go on Instagram, these people are hanging out without me. They're starting businesses together. They're like, there's things happening around this thing. Yeah, okay, cool. I accept that. So you know, it's kind of like, it's definitely outgrown what I thought it would. And it's one of the best things that I've done in my life, and it changed my life. Yeah.
It's changed so many other people's lives as well.
Other people's lives, you know, and everywhere I go now, I see people who kind of have come out of RUN DEM and gone to do their other things, which is really amazing. And again, you know, my thing is just kind of like, I just want to bring people together to help each other to become the best that we can be, because it makes the world a better place.
Yeah, no.
That's it.
Yeah.
There's no other... And that's the thing I would say to people is like, you know, don't start something because it looks popular. Start because you really, really, really have a passion for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Or you can see yourself adding something to it that's not already there.
Yeah. No, I get that a lot.
That's the reason why a man like you has to be boxing off the top and talking about the nutrition and all that stuff. You know, but you know, and it sounds funny, but because you've got such a gentle aura about you, I'm more likely to accept it than some of the other characters who I meet. Yeah. As soon as they walk into the room, I'm immediately intimidated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get you. So like, I want to kind of wrap it up with like one final question.
Yeah.
Someone who is at the beginning and they want to kind of start a running crew or dance crew or whatever kind of community they want to kind of build. What piece of advice would you give them?
My piece of advice is start small, incubate for as long as you can before you start bringing in outside forces. Yeah. Because as soon as you start bringing in outside forces like a brand, it immediately starts to change. So you've got to build strong foundations before you start seeking help. And when you do start seeking help, they have to bring something to the table that you cannot already do by yourself. Yeah. The reason why I started working with sports brands was particularly like, I needed a venue in an area that was neutral, because I was working with a lot of, you know, not only did I have the adults, but I also had the young kids that I was trying to encourage to run.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you meet a young person that, say, for example, lives in Lewisham, has never been to Oxford Street, and they're 16, and you're having a conversation with them, right? Like, man's big in Lewisham, I don't need to go on Oxford Street. I've never been. Like, what are you talking about? It's the shopping capital of the UK. Yeah, we can't go. Why not? Well, you know, we've got kind of beef with... Like, really? When you work in that thing and you realise how real it is, that's when you start getting really, you know, super creative. Yeah. Because the thing I always say to people, you see a group of kids running in hoodies, you're hiding. Yeah. Watch those same kids come through in running kit, you're applauding. Yeah. And so part of my thing is like showing a lot of the young people that I work with, like, you're beautiful and magical, and what's in the contents of inside your head are really, really valuable. And that park bench that to you is just like any old park bench, to the brand that comes in, that's the photo shoot. That's the new campaign. Yeah. So we've got to start treasuring ourselves, the people around us, so that we can be treasured and valued. If we don't value ourselves, it's very hard for other people to value you. Yeah. Oh, you know? Wicked. And that's one of the things a lot of us like. We don't value ourselves. That's why we get ourselves in situations where it's easy for, you know, for it to go belly up. Yeah. No, thank you. I appreciate the time so much, and it's cool. I know you've been tracking me down, but you're like a pit bull terrier, man. Man's like an XL bully. No, because I needed it to be shared. And I know you've done many kind of talks and podcasts and stuff as well, but like people, the next Charlie Dark needs to hear what you've done, because like it's like I said, it's an amazing thing. Like you always know someone who knows someone who has a connection to Run Dem Crew. Yeah. So and that's important, you know, for me, because again, I came up in the era of networks. Yeah. Where if you were part of a network, the craziest things would happen. Yeah. You know, and opportunities would happen. So I just realised it's about networking. 100%. And again, when you don't have internet, you don't have phone. Yeah. It teaches you to network in person. Yeah. And networking in person could just be as like, I remember there was a kid in South London that had a pair of Air Jordans, and we went to his school to watch him come out so that we could see the shoes in the flesh. Yeah. Like, man's actually got the real Air Jordans on. We'd only ever seen them on TV. Yeah. And when I tell my kids these stories, they're looking at me like, well, like, how old are you, Dad? I'm like, no, but you got to understand, those are really special times. Yeah. And I still employ a lot of those old school tactics in the way that I market things and promote things and do things now. Yeah. Because they're so quirky and out of date that they're actually fresh and new.